Demmel, Bay Area guitar player and man of so many bands. You are in between Kerry King band runs right now, but you've had some shows, right?
Yes, yes. I leave on Saturday for Europe. We're doing a bunch of festivals and some off dates headlining, and yeah, we did a couple of states festivals in May. We had our kind of our underplay in Chicago to a couple hundred people. Um, that was our first show, so it was just kind of like dipping the toes in and checking it out. So that was a lot of fun, you know.
Now, because the record was recorded under so much secrecy, did you guys ever really get in the same room together to jam until kind of recently?
The first time that we jammed was in a week before Chicago. So it was we did videos, and that was the first time we were fake jamming together, but it was the first time we were in the same room kind of with instruments in hand, because we'd done a photo shoot before too, and that was, the first time we'd been in a room together. So it's all these firsts are happening within the past couple months. And yeah, learning, we'd all been pretty well prepared. Record had been done for about a year. And so it was really cool to play with, especially with, I haven't had a bass player on my side in a long time. So having Kyle just ripping my head off with his bass rig, but it's good. It's good. Things are so clear, and his tone is great, and his playing is so awesome. So me and him are really locking in on stage right. And so that experience is really cool. Playing with all the dudes, of course, is awesome. Getting this all fleshed out is pretty exciting.
Is Kyle the only one in the band you haven't known for 50 years?
Yeah, right.
To be fair, 40, right? For most everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Mark since the mid-'80s. I've known Paul since the late 80s. He had probably met, not too much longer with Paul. Kerry, I think we originally met in 88, but that was just right in passing. I remember we were, Vio-Lence was in Philadelphia with Metal Maria, and she took us to go see Slayer was playing some like disco place called Pulsations at Danzig opened. And this is 88, this is right in South of Heaven tour. And so we go backstage and we meet him. It's a big deal, man. I mean, we're all huge Slayer fans and kind of intimidated. I was a 21-year-old kid meeting them for the first time, really. And I had met them back in the Stone days, but this is the first time kind of talking to them. And they had just got the Judas Priest tour, the Painkiller tour with them, and I think Testament opened that. So they just found out that day, so they were super jacked. And Jeff and Kerry, big Raider fans, so we spoke a little bit on that. But so just the history with with all of that, I didn't know Kerry. I didn't really know him until later in the Machine Head years, and meeting him at NAMM and talking to him off and on and seeing him here and there. So I mean, he's not a man of many words. So it's the conversations that we have had in the past have been positive and in a sense of vibe.
And it's kind of funny because you're right, he's not a man of many words, but he's constantly misunderstood by people. Yeah,
I've gone to bat for him quite a bit lately, so almost ad nauseum, to where it's like, I don't want to say anything pro Kerry because it'll just go, Real Demmel defends Kerry and says that, white bread's wetter than wheat bread or whatever, it's like, I think that he, I mean, a lot of people that are in this business are kind of misunderstood too. You've been around so many people and a part of this industry, so that people can be, hey, I thought you were going to be like this, and you're totally, not like that. So he's definitely.
I like you was like deathly afraid of Kerry back then. I thought he was just this larger than life, big mean guy. I saw him first time on the South of Heaven tour at Mountain View Theater. It was like a movie theater.
Oh wow, yeah, okay. I remember that place.
Yeah, and I remember just thinking he's the meanest person I've ever seen in my life.
Didn't that band Epidemic play that show?
Slayer, Epidemic, Bacchus, and
Bacchus.
there was one more band. Oh, I can't
I
think of
remember
it.
Epidemic playing that. I remember going to that
Mhm.
show. I think I got a ticket coming back from that show, crossing the 101 on that main thing coming into the Mountain View. That was a cool spot. Saw Death Angel there. I think I saw Fate's Warning back there back in the day, and Testament too. Whatever.
I came all the way down from Fairfield, so that was a hike for me. I
Oh
think
wow.
I went down there once.
Well, good for you.
Slayer, that was it. That was the only thing that was going to get me that far
Right
away.
on.
But I had the same thing about Chuck Billy. You
Yeah.
know, I saw Testament come off that tour, and Chuck was just like, do you remember they played the Omni? It was
Mhm.
like Testament came back from that Slayer Judas Priest tour, and they did like a Tuesday night at the Omni, and they
Hmm.
just like jammed the stage with all these like
Oh yeah.
tabs,
Had
and it was,
all the PA on the sides too, and yeah.
and I was so scared of Chuck. I thought it was the same thing with Kerry King. I'm like, he's gonna kill me. And to be fair, back then there was all this like poser lore, you know, thanks
Oh yeah.
Baylock. I mean, there was a true fear that these
Yeah, but I mean, Chuck
people would come after you.
coming from Dublin, California, where Chuck was this, he was larger than life. He was one not to fuck with back in the day. And I won't get into specifics, but he was one dude that, I mean, he's Native American dude, and there was rumors of him scalping motherfuckers and having scalps hanging from his rear view mirror. And, you know, it's just, this is all Dublin myth, you know, and,
Right, the
but,
lore.
and yeah, I mean, Chuck was, there's a beast inside there that you don't want to wake up. He's such a calm and chill dude right now. And I you know, I played in the band, you know, I golf with him often and hang with him, and Chuck is a chill dude. But I mean, he was fucking crazy back in the day, man.
I think
Dublin
all
Death
of
Control,
us
that was
were
a
a
real
little
thing.
I think all of us were a little crazier back then. I mean, I still like I see kids in the pit now and they're doing stuff like Viking rowing.
Oh, right.
You know, I saw a pit on I think it was like some internet thing, right? And it's a bunch of kids playing like Magic the Gathering in the pit.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
like,
Just trying to be creative, you know.
I'm not mad at them. I am not mad
Yes.
at them, but I do recall a time when that would have like I would have gotten my ass kicked if I tried to
Well,
do
yeah.
something like that.
Well, now you get away with it. It's a different, you know, it's a different time. I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah, I think we've all just matured.
Yeah.
You know, kids today, they're not as they don't have the big chips on their shoulders like we did. I think we all kind of walked around just like ready to kick everyone's ass all the time, and it was exhausting.
I think it was a culture to defend at that time. It was kind of new. I mean, you were
Mhm.
there back in the mid 80s too. And you know, we see all this thing growing and and the the skins versus the long hair fights, and then the crossover happens, and then you know, you find some unity together in that. And you know, the punks and the long hairs on Broadway would brawl. There was like, or you see, you know, skinheads see a long hair at a punk show. It was just not a good thing. It was a real thing. So it's, you know, we've seen, you know, I was part of this whole West Coast bias as far as metal is concerned. You know, it's
Oh
because, you
yeah.
know, Slayer we adopted in the Bay Area, and you know, and Megadeth and Metallica and Exodus, and you know, our hometown crew, even Lost. I was a huge Lost Rocket fan back in the day, and then you know, the Overkills and the Anthraxes back in the day. It's just like, yeah, East Coast thrash, you know, as but we respected it because they were there from the beginning. But there was a whole kind of elitist West Coast thing, is you know, that I was admittedly part of. And so we're like defending, you know, bands. Like even when Pantera came out, I was like, no, you know, when we toured with Testament, we rolled through Dallas and we saw all the pictures on them. This is pre-internet, obviously, and we saw all the pictures of them Van Halen out and spandexed out, and it's like, who's this band? And you know, and I believe me, I love my hair metal and I love all of it, but it got, I kind of took it personal, and by 20-year-old way of like when they went heavy and Cowboys came on, everybody was all over them. I'm like, wait a minute, It's like, you don't get to just be, you know, and a thrash band. I remember what you were. I didn't really know the music all that much. It was just, again, being elitist and dumb. But it took me a minute to get off the Pantera kind of like, whoa, respect to the musicianship, of course, and everything. But it was just like trying to come across as heavier than, the Slayers and Testaments, or being part of that conversation. But and then Vulgar came out, and it just shut me up, and was just like, oh fuck, this is the heaviest record that I've ever fucking heard, and these guys are fucking for real. So
I was like, okay, they're doing it.
And that was part of that culture, protective, just kind of like, you don't get a be threat, it's just kind of like, don't be.
You wanted people to earn it. You wanted them to suffer for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
and they did kind of earn it. It just
absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. And now, God, you look back and you're like, oh, wow, we were dicks.
Yeah, totally. And that's how I'm just kind of admitting in my short-sightedness that, what am I protecting? It's not even mine. It's not, and I'm still not so heavy that I'm not listening to Rat and Dawkins and, and these other bands that could be considered, Paul Bailoff would surely, cut my mullet off and, wear my Rat t-shirt. I never had a Rat t-shirt, but you know what I'm saying? And Bailoff sure would have had my throat for, some of the stuff I listened to.
And you didn't even have to be a girl at the same time.
I know.
That shit was rough.
Right, I bet. There's no one, and I tell Marta this often as I, go through all the female ordeals in life and stuff. I hate using the word blessed, or, I've just been I'm so grateful that I was born. I don't want to get into privilege and blah, blah, blah. It's just fortunate to be born to a wonderful family, middle class, white, living in the East Bay in California, male, I've been giving, I guess this would be, whatever privilege I have, or whatever.
You had a
head start or whatever, I've seen plenty of people in my situation just, bail from it and just be a fucking piece of shit. So I thank my parents and my upbringing and my circle that has kind of guided me. I've gone through my bullshit when I was a kid. I used to steal everything inside. I used to lie. I used to, I was a fucking horrible big brother to my sister, but I'm glad that I figured it out somewhere, and however long it took me to be, I wasn't the best husband in my first marriage. I could have been all these things, but I'm finding that, especially after meeting Marta and realizing, what being selfless in a relationship is truly about, that you figure all these things out. And I'm just grateful that I had that head start and didn't have to. A lot of my friends, and even being female, like Marta's from Idaho, where, you're getting a lot of rights taken away as a woman these days. And it's fucking pretty fucking scary. So I'm just blessed that I haven't had to go through menstruation, and, I haven't had to go through the segregation, and I haven't had to go through all these things, and admire those that have, and that have persevered through. My hardships pale in comparison to any of that shit. So I'd be remiss if I didn't try to take advantage of every minute that I have to, do something positive in these days.
Well, now that you
have a long sentence, holy shit.
But now that you've had all this growth, and you and Marta are kind of a musician power couple with kids, young kids,
and a business.
That you share together. How do you balance all of that? She's been on tour and just come back. You've been on tour and just come back. You guys are kind of crisscrossing the globe at this point.
We are. We are. It's insane that, we have this 3-month calendar with a dry erase on it. And pretty organized in that sense, and we all have our colors. All the boys have a different color, and minimum day here and day off here for, you know, blues jaded, and, you know, and Mars green. And so we just, and I'm red, so if we mark our stuff out and hope that they don't cross, so that way one of us is home. And there has been some overlap to where we call in some family to come in.
Grandma reinforcements or something.
Yeah, in-laws and friends, and we have this incredible community here that we're part of with our Taco Tuesday group and our Merkins clan, and that everybody just kind of circles the wagons for each other. And Marta's going to Japan, but I'm going to be out with Lamb of God and Mastodon, and so and I'm going to Europe, and she's going to Boston next week. So it's like, as Jaden's getting older, he's able to cover some more bases for us. And, you know, the bar, kind of, we've got a good crew there. So the bartenders manage while we're gone, and we do some ordering. But it's, man, I hate using the word blessed, and I hate having to always say that, but goddamn, we have it good, you know? And
well, and it takes a village.
It does. And I say that after every Merkin show, that, you know, it takes a village, and I fucking love my village. So thank you to all the Dublin, you know, all of our crew out here, and for letting us do the things that we do, and you know, just pray for health.
Well, let's talk about the next Merkin show coming up, because we are doing Red, White, and Boozed 2. We're going back to the Back Lounge in Dublin for the 4th of July. And is it going to be second verse, same as the first, a little bit louder, a little bit worse?
Yeah, I think so, you know.
Are there any surprises? Are there going to be changes? What do you think?
You know, it's going to be our standard MO, and these things kind of just evolve as we go. And as the ones at the bar are, you've been to both. I don't know if you've been to a Christmas show, but the ones at the bar, it's really intimate. So we spill out into the back parking lot. We've got the food truck out there, and as the word kind of grows, and as people are more involved, you know, I'll just use Lars and Matt from Rancid as an example. That they come out to the rehearsal to our buddy Brant and Gina. They have a compound out in Livermore. And have you been to that? Been to a rehearsal? No. Okay, so if you can, it's always the day before, sometimes 2 days before, and it's it's got this big setup, and everybody just kind of comes in and pops in and hops on a mic, and we barbecue, and, you know, there's drinking, of course, but all the kids are just pool table upstairs, and, you know, so everybody's just kind of, it's just a big picnic, and we're all just jamming and rehearsing the songs. And sometimes the rehearsals are, and as fun as the gigs are, but sometimes the rehearsals are better hanging for us in the band, because everybody can kind of has time to talk. And what was I talking about? Oh, Lars and Matt just being part of it. And so as they come out and they're part of this community. I mean, here's the history of the Merkins really quick. So 1982, I'm jamming with Danny Cunningham, Donnie Spear, Dave Foster's part of it, but Zet from Exodus. This was my high school band. I mean, we're learning Def Leppard, we're learning Scorpions, we're learning Judas Priest, we're learning Iron Maiden songs. And as we're learning, as long, and we played the fucking quad, you know, and as we're learning how to play instruments together in these bands, then Zet joins Legacy, you know, so Zet's in Legacy now. And so I end up joining Vio-Lence, you know, and Zet goes to Exodus. So, and then Chuck gets into Testament. We're all Dublin high. This is all Dublin based. And so 2004, I think it's been maybe 10 years. We had a friend of ours, Scott Lerner, went to school with us. He was on our football team. We played football together. He was a cop in Hayward, got shot in cold blood. And we all got together for our, it's 2015 because it was our 30th class reunion. And so we all get together. Everybody from high school gets together at Danny's mom's house, who had just passed away. Oh my God. And we get together in the same living room that we first jammed in 1982 together, and playing some of the same old songs. Danny's brother Jeff passed away too, so they're selling the house. It's just this whole huge, Scott died, all these things that just fucking happened, and we all get together, everybody from Dublin High through these 10-year period, and we're just singing pre-songs, we're singing Prince, Purple Rain, we're singing all these Journey and all this stuff, and we play at the class reunion, and we have such a good time that we decide that, hey, we have to do this again. We have to do in honor of our community. And that's the premise has just been just my high school buddies they aren't pros by any means. Some guys play in bands and are good, but there's guys that, hey, I sang Ozzy at karaoke one time, it's like, fucking come on up. We're doing Over the Mountain. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. That's why I don't charge for these shows.
Yeah.
Because I feel bad charging a cover for, some of the talent, and everybody has a good time, but
I'm just going to make the suggestion because it's a worthwhile show. You play for 3-4 hours and it's every skate rink song ever. And I love it. And I think that at the very least, you could put a charity box out.
Well, that's the thing. And that's where we do the Christmas shows where we have the overhead and we have to rent out the community center right over here. It's like a quarter mile from my house. And so we rent out the community center. We sell the 300 tickets. And then we raise. There's always a community member in need, and we always hope that there won't be. Maybe we give it to St. Jude, or we'll do it to but something always comes up, and so we always give everything to charity. So that way, it's just everybody is in that mode of just helping out and being part of this incredible moment. I hate to, when the Bone got involved, I didn't want it to take away from the charm of being such a community thing and opening it up. But everybody that has come out has been so respectful and so contributing to the vibe. And you've been there, you felt it, you don't know my high school buddies, but I mean, you feel welcome when you come in there.
Now.
And as it's gotten bigger, Dave Root comes out and Rancid guys come out and Testament guys come out. I'm sure we had Brad Gillis there for Christmas and Dean from Journey was there. And it's just growing into this incredible positive fucking thing. It's like, I don't know I won't say how many people we had in the community center because we probably oversold it, but there wasn't one fucking problem that whole night. There's not one beef, not one, there was one, but it was a really personal thing with me. And I don't want to state who it was to take away from the evening that it was. But it's just a testament to what that thing has become. And it's not just me I do put the puzzle together. I got part of it right here to where I'm getting people in songs and what songs are we doing and who can go with what and what guy wants to do this. And so the Christmas show, there was 60 people, there was 50 songs, and this one won't be as much, but
that's madness. Just stop and say that one more time.
Yeah. Over 50 songs, 60 people, maybe more than 60 people. It ran pretty smooth. We finished before our curfew. But then there's the people that help with, because we have a nonprofit, which all started, like I said, I wanted to do this and charge for it, but we needed a nonprofit to kind of get a break on the deal at the venue. So we started this. It all started, we do Taco Tuesdays with a couple of families here, more than a few. So we just called it Taco Tuesday Crew Gives Back. We have our own nonprofit, so we're totally legit. And we have our whole crew that does their thing, and they take care of the business side of things. And then, the bar kind of takes care of kind of the liquor and stuff like that. But there's a whole community at work here, and it's amazing to see, and just I'm super proud to see it grow and what it has.
If someone had said to you that when you were 25 and you were in a band and you were just that kid full of attitude, that now you would be literally a community activist who owns a business in Dublin,
right.
with his wife and children,
right.
all a part of it, that you would have put something like this together. And I mean, could you even imagine?
In 92, yeah, I was already, Vio-Lence was on its third record. I don't, I was pretty selfish 25-year-old, and you know, I wouldn't have believed it then. It's been a lot of learning and a lot of experiences and mistakes that I've made to kind of come to where I am now. And no, I wouldn't have believed it at all. Yeah, I believe that I'd still be in Dublin because I think I was still living at home at 25.
Now, you when you left Vio-Lence the first time, and you were, I think it was Technocracy at the time, right? And then I remember everybody just being like, "Oh, Phil's not really doing music anymore," and it was like you were just doing kind of construction stuff. How long did that last? Because it seemed to me like it was a long period of time, but I read your wiki today, and I was going back and trying to. It's terrible, by the way. And I was trying to figure out when that period of time was that you really weren't doing music.
So
now I think it was like 18 months in the 90s.
Yeah, Sean quit Vio-Lence in, I think, 94, 95, 94. And then we continued as Torque. I was singing. We put out a record. We did, shows local. We did the Dynamo Festival in 96 and kind of did some local shows in 97. And then I just had enough. So I didn't quit Vio-Lence. I don't think I've ever quit Vio-Lence.
Sorry,
we stopped.
I tried to put words in your mouth. That was my
bad. That's all right. So I stopped doing Torque. I'd just gotten married, and I was okay, playing basketball 5 times a week in different leagues and snowboarding and golfing, and joined the union as a carpenter. I had a great job and bought a house, and was content being in that life, and was tired. I didn't want to be the here's my demo dude, and was kind of, the scene was weird at the time. It was like 97 and things weren't, and we weren't good enough. So, and I was okay with that, and said goodbye. So 97 and 99 was when I wasn't doing music. Technocracy came a calling, and Steve Machado, the singer, called me to start doing some programming for some stuff that he was doing. And we got that group together. That was doing some gigs. Vio-Lence got back together in 2001 for Chuck and the Thrash of the Titans. So we got back together in 2001. I was doing Technocracy. I was doing Vio-Lence. Machine Head asked me to join them on tour, or I approached them. And so I did 2 weeks with Machine Head in 2001, or was that 2002? 2002. And so now I'm playing Machine Head, playing in Vio-Lence, playing in Technocracy. Marriage is,
that's when the divorce happened. Yeah.
It's falling apart. It was about 2000 is when that was about done. We figured, this isn't working out. 2002, I pretty much joined Machine Head. And then that's when Vio-Lence just kind of closes its doors.
I remember that show.
Yeah, the 420 show at the Poundski.
That was, wow. That show was epic.
Yeah.
I think you guys started that set hammered.
But they had the bus in the back, and wherever. Yeah, we were destroyed. It was horrible. I think everybody was kind of over it at that point. It was like you guys hate fucked Vio-Lence out. Right. Yeah.
You were like, we're doing this last show, but we hate all of this right now.
I think that, I just think it was a point of me just going and doing Machine Head, and it was time to, not do the weekend stuff, and it was time to be in a serious band. And we were still going to write a record. I had 2 songs done, working on a 3rd song for a record for Vio-Lence. And so we were going to still record. And I was told, and there was a discussion with Machine Head about me doing the record, and that was going to be okay until it wasn't, until I was told I was not doing it. And of course I acquiesced, not without some yelling, but of course that was,
that was the dynamic of the band at the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. and it didn't need to happen. I didn't have to do it. I wanted to do it. I felt obligated to do it, and to to not be told one thing and then not to have it be reneged on was probably mostly what I was upset about. It was just like, this is set, and we're off to a bad start here if we're already reneging on stuff that was promised. So it was part of that too. So, but in
And it
hindsight,
feels kind of parallel, doesn't it, to the whole Jason Newsted thing with Metallica, where for a minute it was okay if he had another band, and then all of a sudden it wasn't okay, and it just kind of put a burn in the saddle of the band in the early.
I don't know enough about that situation to really comment on it. I don't, and it's on such a different scale too. My God.
It's a little parallel, a little
No,
bit.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that they are this
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
multi-million-dollar enterprise, and their perspective is so much on a grander scale than my little Vio-Lence record.
But the situation is still similar, and
Yeah, that is similar in a sense that I think
I don't
really
even
remember
Metallica
that.
has grown up and matured, and now it's not a problem for them. Robert's
Right.
out doing Infectious, and
Infectious and suicidal, and
yeah, and they're like, maybe this is healthy.
I
And
mean,
I think
it
maybe
takes going through those things to really be okay with them and living with them for a minute, and looking back and seeing that maybe that wasn't so bad. And in hindsight, for me, it wasn't that big a deal about the Vio-Lence record not doing it then. I needed to focus on being Machine Head at that time, and it was, like I said, it wasn't really as much about the record as it was the policy, or just being turned back on at that point. So yeah, and it's not even a huge deal, even though it is 22 years later and I'm still talking about it. So
well, that's partly my fault, making you relive the whole timeline of things.
yeah, we are going through it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think because I remember meeting you, I want to say it was like Vio-Lence at the Omni in like early 90s ish.
Really?
I think the Omni closed in like 93. So I want to say it was like a 92 ish. And I think Mark Hernandez introduced us.
Oh, okay. Was he in the band?
Yeah, he had just gotten in the band, I think.
So our first show was there. I think we were opening for Forbidden.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Mhm.
I remember Mark introducing us and then going, who was that?
Yeah.
And then I don't think we ever hung out until like years later.
Yeah, I don't think it was until the mid 90s that
Yeah.
I remember maybe meeting you at a Berkeley Square show and going to a party over in Berkeley somewhere else, and you were there. Shaq called you Marilyn Manson, that Marilyn Manson chick. Because you're goth, it's such a new concept, this, pale girls with black hair.
Yeah. Goth girls. We were a thing then.
Yeah.
Still is, I don't know.
I married one.
I love your wife, dude. She's the best.
She is.
But we're only up to the Machine Head years now. So
Oh my God.
Your longest tenure in a band, I think, was Machine Head, wasn't it?
Yep. It was officially 15 years, like 2003, but I was their guitar player for 16 years. Since I toured with them in 2002, I was still jamming with them, even though I wasn't officially in the band. I was learning the songs for the record. So yeah, I've seen a lot with that band and its members. It was a good ride. It was an awesome ride. It was an awesome experience, seeing success on a bunch of different levels with them, and great learning experience, and great musical experience. And God, yeah, that's a long time. Holy shit.
I know. I read it in the wiki today, and I was like, "No, was it that?" But it 100% was, and it was a minute. But now that we're all grown up, what do you look back on in the Machine Head years? Now that it was such a huge part of your life.
Man, what do I look back on? I look back. I have in my studio here. I have some stuff up, but throughout the hallways, I have up the gold and the silver records and posters from different shows. And I try to I want to keep it positive and remember all the good stuff and all the stuff that we achieved and the music that we wrote and the shows that we played and that sense, headlining some festivals and playing these amazing shows and meeting. I met my wife through the band, and she was just talking about that. Yeah, she's going to Japan, and yeah, the last time I was here, I'm filling out my visa stuff, and she saw this is in 2010. That's when we were with you guys back in it. So I think that I was pretty instrumental in maintaining that band's success. I think that me and Dave and Adam were we played a huge part, and not just writing and creating, but I think even in the networking sense, meeting people while I'm out with the band and introducing these, athletes and, other entertainers that are, maybe heard of the band, but having them come out to the shows and, branching and bringing awareness in that sense. So I feel like I really contributed to that band. I'm proud of what I've done. And I'm proud of the way that it ended and the way that, I exited and I transitioned. So I want to keep it all positive. And yeah, I'm proud of that time. I think that, we definitely made a mark during that time.
Absolutely. I mean, The Blackening,
Yeah,
that album alone was monumental, I think.
I think so too. I think that was like the first record where we were writing together. I mean, I wrote very little on Ashes, but when The Blackening happened, I was contributing. I think maybe like the first 2 or 3 songs were my ideas that I brought like almost half songs completed already. And so I got a good foundation for what, they might be the third worst songs on the record, but they still made the record, but I think that was a catalyst for what we were doing and maybe directions we were going to go or we weren't going to go or whatever. But being a part of that was, that was a big deal. But I think that I'm most proud of my contributions on Locust, and writing that record was probably the record that means the most to me out of that catalog. I was going through a huge ordeal at home, and a lot of the writing that I wrote, a lot of lyrics on that record stemmed from a lot of those feelings. And the Locust concept was my concept that I stole from Independence Day, but I brought it to because the president's talking about, Bill Pullman's talking about like the aliens as being these locusts that just come down and they swoop down and they use up all the resources. But I kind of just use that as a metaphor for people that come into your life and come in and use you up for all your resources and move on to the next and on to the next. Because had 3 cases of that happen to me during that time. And so those lyrics are powerful and just resonate so deep with me. And there's lyrics in Be Still and Know, which was my Bible verse handed down to me from my grandma. There's 15, 18 grandkids that she had, and we each all had a Bible verse that she gave to us. And mine was Psalm, it's Be Still and Know that I'm the Lord. And it was one of my first tattoos that I have tattooed right here. And Rob was pretty interested in we had gotten in a fight. He came over to the house and my mom had it up in the house and stuff. And she's like, oh my God, it's, this is your mantra, And so he ended up using it as the title, and a lot of my lyrics were used for that. And so Locust was Darkness Within, they still play the song, and I still love hearing my riffs being sung by the crowd. So it's neat to know that those things that I created are still being carried through and still, resonating with people.
When you left Machine Head, did you feel like it was going to be the life and career change that it was, or were you just done with everything that was going on with Machine Head and you needed something new regardless of what it ended up being?
It had been the whole catharsis cycle. There was just a shift in the dynamic in the band, and with me and Dave felt it extremely. He was more on the fence than I was, on the ledge, I'll say. Dave was more on the ledge than I was, and so there was me and Marta just bought the bar in June of 18. I didn't really like the record. I liked some of the stuff that I contributed to. I liked some of the songs that were on there. It's not a horrible record. It's not, it's not, but it was just a weird record in the sense that you could just feel this dynamic shift with everything. And I'm trying to tread lightly here. That I felt that, once we had the business, that I wasn't so reliant on the paycheck, and I felt that I could be done with the band. I didn't want to be done with music. We had the Pro Tools in the studio set up in the house, and I was learning how to program some drums, and I was writing different stuff. And so I was waiting. I had one foot on a banana peel, the other one out the door. And yeah, I slipped on that banana peel, and I was out the door. I had, it was time for me to go. I didn't know what was going to happen, and I didn't care, other than the fact that, it was the music, but it wasn't the music. It was 99% personal, that I couldn't be there anymore. It was affecting my sleep. It was something that it was a toxic entity in my head, in my heart, that I had to purge. And the only way that I tried to, I won't say play ball, but I tried to go along as long as I could until I couldn't. And then it was just, one thing happened to where it was just like, oh, I'm fucking done. I can't be in a band like this anymore. And deliver my keys. I'm turning in my, the Bugs Bunny, he's the executioner. I'll turn in your hood. And I felt like I turned in my hood, the guillotine operator, when he hops through and, fool, turn in your hood. So I turned in my hood, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that I was instantly relieved, and I was smiling and happy and 100% sure that it was the right decision. And I mean, I've said this a bunch, but I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but I'd quit. I'd quit with a tour on the books, and they were supposed to do a video that weekend. And I said, I'm not doing any of it. I'm done. And then I had called Dave on the way to Rob's, and he's like, oh, you beat me to it. I'm quitting tomorrow. And so, I called Rob the next day and said, hey, it's a dick move to bail on the tour. And, it was, I said, but I said, if you can't find anybody to replace me, then I'll honor the tour, and we can, whatever. So, and I feel that he was just as done with me as I was with him, so I don't think that it was, it's not you with me type breakup. I think that we were just done with each other. And
you kind of embarked right then and there on your career as the guy who can fill in for anyone.
Yeah, my God, it was, we honored the tour. It was an awkward situation, going on a honeymoon with somebody you just asked for a divorce for, you know, and we're going to get a Magnus visit here in a minute. And so the whole tour was pretty awkward. The last show was in Santa Cruz, and Marta, we just bought the business that summer, you know, and Marta's got Wolf, who's like 2 years old and just a terror. He's not a terror. He's just like a lot. And so Wolf, she's going like, when are you coming home? I need you home. And so it's like, playing Santa Cruz, babe, get a ride down there, you know. So we do, you know, I say, come down, you know, bring the vehicle down. I'll drive you home. Come down, light it up with your friends, you know. And so she comes down, and I see her in the pit, like during Killers and the Kings. She's getting in the pit, and she's like smoking pot with random dudes, and like she makes her way up to the front, and she's like hunting and fishing, you know. Our old tech Mud Billy said hunting and fishing means you got one eye up here and one eye down here. She's just oh my God. So I see her get escorted up at the Catalyst. They got the stairs that go up to the balcony, and so I see her kind of disappear up there, and we're saying goodbye. It's a big deal. Me and Dave saying goodbye, and I'm all, oh, where's my fucking wife at? You know, where's she at? And evidently she's up in the balcony, like throwing up all over my cousins, and you know. So we finish, we get backstage, and everybody's there saying, you know, doing their thing, and they wheel Marta back on this road case on a towel. They wheel her back. She's pale. She's still throwing up, and she's like a fucking mess. And I'm feeling, man, this is fucking perfect. I'll set up the Dexter clean room in the front of my Yukon. We pull it around, and so I can just bail. I don't want to be there for all the goodbyes and everything after. I just, you know, just take her home, wheel her through the Santa Cruz Mountains, and like, get home. She wakes up the next day, and we're both like, oh my God, it's over. I'm home, you know, order pizza. It's Pizza Sunday, you know, and I look at my phone. I'm at the foot of the bed. She's in bed, and I look at my phone, and it's a text from Kerry. Hey, we need you out here. Can you be out here in a couple of days? And I'm kind of read through it real quick, and I dropped the phone. I fucking dropped it. Like, honestly, I was on the bed. I knew I was going to be safe, but so I pick it up again. She's like, what? What's wrong? You know, and I read through it again just to make sure it's not like, hey, maybe there's a slight chance, but it's like, no, we need you here. And I show it to her. She's all, you got to go. It's like, you know, not even 24 hours after, you know, quitting, walking away from a fucking amazing gig, you know, and having the reason why I play music give me a call. And, you know, you can't write it up. You can't write it up different than that. It was so fucking amazing. And then learning the songs on the plane going over there, 19 songs that I'm learning on a flight over there. And Gary Holt, fucking our hero, our guitar god, creator of heavy music, you know, trying to fill his shoes, you know, and get his blessing. And that just shoots me off into this weird fill-in. Oh, look what he can do.
Well, let's not sell you short. I mean, this is still a phenomenon that people talk about in circles when you're nowhere near the room. Did you know that you'll learn that stuff in like a day? And I'm like, well, it wasn't a day, but it was close.
Right. You know, it was a couple of days. But one day I didn't even have my guitars. I had one guitar that was in drop tuning that I had to transpose everything up 3 frets. So it's, you know, I just say this. I think that anybody, and especially a band that means as much to me as Slayer, like if there's that band that gives you that call, and granted their songs aren't fucking easy, but my peers and I would do the same thing. They just haven't had that opportunity to, you know, to say that they'd done it, but that you would do it. I was just fortunate enough to be in that position to have the story about it. You know, I don't feel I'm all that special. I just feel that the situation was special, and I'm just part of it.
Well, to be fair, 19 songs on a plane. I mean, I
knew some of them. I knew like 4 or 5, but not totally. There were some songs I had never heard before. and it was mostly just figuring out the structures. But then it became like, okay, now what solos are Gary doing now? Is Gary doing now? I don't know who's playing what on what side until I'm able to talk to Kerry about it. And I get on the plane, and then I didn't download the playlist, so I don't have the songs at first until I get on the Wi-Fi and download the playlist. Hey, you got your jams on? You got your bunny?
I'm looking for the other one.
All right.
Go figure. Sorry.
All right. I love you.
Love
Good
you
night,
too.
night. He's got his whoopee.
Oh, good.
So anyway, she labored the whole Slayer song.
I'm not kidding. People literally come up to me as just a random thing to be like, Phil Demmel learned that whole Slayer set in a day. And I'm just like, what? It regularly comes up.
Well, you
and
know
I feel
what?
like
Learning 50 Merkin song is a whole different animal.
these are the skills that you have built to bring us to the Red, White, and Boozed 2 at the Back Lounge in Dublin.
It is.
I mean, if
it is. You know, it's
set on a plane, surely you can
right.
handle 60 songs with 50 people one afternoon.
I can because I don't. I think you're doing your radio bit there, so I need to let you finish.
No. Well, I mean, I just try to give them clips,
Yeah.
Because the internet now is all about 30, 60-second clips.
Yes, right. The Back Lounge, 4th of July, the Merkins. Lots of special guests, people that you might know, songs that you definitely will know. But I'm going to say that as far as set list goes, there's a bunch of new tunes that we haven't done. And I mean, because it's hard to pick a set list for this because of all, you want to play the hits. You want to play the Wanted Dead or Alives and the Separate Ways and the Don't Stop Believins. But then you get like, do people get tired of that? They obviously don't, but do we get tired of it? We do. So we got to throw in Paradise Cities and, My Sharonas and, other stuff that you can sing and dance to.
Maybe a T-Rex or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Maybe a T-Rex. That's a good idea. People got to know it, though. That's a criteria. People got to know it. They got to be able to sing to it, and it's got to groove.
If it wasn't a skate rink song, then it's...
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So we haven't talked about your new band that you are actually in. Your new bands that you are actually in. I mean, we did talk about Kerry King Band. And it's not that I don't want to talk about Kerry King Band. I really do. It's just that I feel like Kerry just did 65 interviews in the last week. And I think everybody knows everything except for, I mean, how it felt that first show when you guys finally all played together on all cylinders. How long did it really take to, did you hit the pocket? Are you in the groove?
We did. I think that we did. I think that, every rehearsal we got better every day. I think that each show got better. The Sonic Temple was a weird show in the sense that we went on during daylight, directly in sunlight. We had pyro. It was kind of weird spot for us too. Like the slot was maybe somebody was playing indoors and the parking lot that we played was kind of further away, so the crowd wasn't like as big as other stages. But people there were digging it, and I felt that we did really good. And we're playing all the big festivals on this thing. Man, we're doing the Downloads, Rock 'em Ring, Rock 'em Park, Copenhagen, Hellfest, Gas Pop. We're playing all the big ones. So we've got some warm up shows that we're doing, and so I think that once we start playing every day, that we're gonna lock in and take off some heads.
I feel like for as well as you guys know each other and for as well as you all know the music by now, you guys have still just not had a lot of time on a stage together playing the music and running around and, kind of knowing who's going to go where and when and who likes to do this, that, the other thing. So that's why I was curious. Have you guys bumped into each other yet? Or does everybody kind of just...
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've seen Kyle, he's like 6'100" and super Nikki. He's a left-handed bass player. So the first show was a super tight stage. So our streams were crossing. You know, we were so we swapped sides. So he was on the outside and I was on the inside. And but we've on the big stage we haven't. We kind of got our trip down, and he's a fucking pro. Kyle is such an amazing bass player, and so I haven't shared stage right with a bass player in I don't know how long.
Much less a smaller one.
So yeah. But he's super mobile too, and he, you know, we both kind of move around. I'm not moving around as much with these songs. I'm trying to stay locked in and concentrate on that. The songs are still relatively new. They're not second nature right by now, and we're doing some Slayer tunes that I really want to, you know, I want to play well and have. I'm already getting the hate from Phil's no Gary Holt, you know. It's like, of course I'm not fucking Gary Holt. Nobody's Gary Holt, you know. It's obvious that I'm not Gary Holt. That's for sure.
I mean, to be fair, Gary Holt was no Jeff Hanneman, and it's just always
I mean
always
they're different in that sense.
Right? Slayer fans, I love you, I am you, but I have never met a group of people who love to hate the people they love most in the world.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I'm getting a taste of that. I've got so much love for the fill-in spot, and people do as you know. It's more good than bad at this point. Probably 75-25, but still the negative ones, you know. And it should be, don't let it get to you, you know. Don't let them, but it does. I mean, you're out there trying, you're trying, and just to have somebody shit on you, especially for not being Gary Holt, you know. And I guess that's shame on me for feeling bad for not being Gary Holt, because that bar is pretty fucking high.
You can't physically be another person, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, the two of you are both honestly as on par as you can be for being two guitar players who came up in the same scene, in the same genre at the same time. I mean, Gary has what, 4 years on you?
Yeah, he definitely is
in terms of,
I don't want to say a tier above. He is a tier, you know, at least a tier above what I have done. But I mean, he's the older brother, you know. He set the bar as far as I'm concerned for thrash metal playing, and not just the Bay Area, just for everybody. The dude's fucking amazing in what he does, and has, like I said, set the bar. So there's no, I don't feel shame for being told I'm no Gary Holt. It's just one of the, you know, it's like, fucking shitty Slayer cover band. It's like, well, we're not a shitty Slayer cover band, you know. It's like, we're playing the songs pretty good. If we're not as, you know, I'm no Gary Holt, you're right, but it's not shitty. Is it shitty? Just being hateful for being hateful. And that's, you know,
I think that's it.
We're talking about it, so people are making their mark.
It's very knee-jerk, and I can kind of get it, but only on that level where I get the same kind of reaction to kids who Viking row in the pit. Okay,
right.
You know, I'm gonna have a little bit of a side eye for kids who Viking row in the pit, but I'm not going to. I don't see that translating to like you and Gary Holt somehow supposed to be the same. You know, if Kerry wanted Gary in the band, Gary would have been in this band. And
I don't.
And we all know that
Kerry out of my pay range.
Kerry King had years to put this band together, literal years, before Slayer was over, after Slayer was over, during the pandemic. You know, if there's one thing he had all the time in the world to do, it's pick the guys he wants to play with now that he's not doing Slayer.
Yep.
And I just don't understand why people can't respect that.
That's because I think that it's not what they want. They want Tom, they want Dave, they want who's an example? I want to see Chris DeGarmo. I want to see Jeff Tate. I want to see, Scott Rockenfeld. I want to see those 5 Queensryche guys. And that's no slight on the other dudes. It's not at all. But those are, and I love Todd, and what I think he's doing is fucking awesome. And I enjoy watching him do that. But one of my favorite records of all time is Operation Mindcrime. And those are the guys I want to see doing that, and I can't have that. And I'll go see the other dudes do it, but I'm not going to say that Mike Stone is shitty or they're a shitty Queensryche cover band.
Exactly. This is my thing, right? It's like you love the band, you love the music.
Yeah.
You care about the people who play it. Why would you shit on them?
Yeah. It's because they want what they want. And that's, humanity is, especially with the internet and everybody having this platform. And I like that Glenn Benton said something about, and I agree with him. Like the new Deicide has some AI cover or some AI induced cover or something like that. And people are just complaining about it or something like that. But he had a quote that said, "We gave the wrong people a voice." And I went, "Oh man, that's fucking good." Whatever the point is, I don't even see what the problem is with like AI art. Why is that a problem? It looks fucking cool. If it looks cool, it looks cool. Is it because?
Oh, I can tell you the problem.
Yeah, tell me the problem.
You'll appreciate this as a musician. The AI is being fed proprietary and original art created by artists.
Oh,
and then
so it's using it. Oh, okay.
That's the problem. If the AI had a frame of reference that was licensed or was original,
then
it would be no problem. But the problem is the intellectual property theft with it.
Oh, you're just taking all the good parts and making your own thing. Although some bands do that already, won't admit it.
And humans do that accidentally. God, it was somebody super. It was like the Beatles or somebody hugely famous, and somebody was like, "Oh, wait, you got to hear this guitar riff I wrote last night." And he plays it, and he's like, "Congratulations, you just wrote Let It Be."
Oh my God.
But it's one of those things where how many riffs have you A, heard, B, learned, and C, written, and everything's just kind of going around in the computer of your brain, and at some point you're gonna accidentally duplicate something without realizing it.
Yep, I've done it. I have done it. And I think it even got recorded. I think the beginning of a song called California Bleeding is Alter Bridge riff off of one of their records. And then when it came out and then I listened to it, it's like, oh, fuck. Because I love Alter Bridge. And it's just like that was a subliminal jack.
And now it's an homage. Tribute.
Yeah. It's a fucking tribute.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. So after all of that,
Category 7.
Category 7 is the band we wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you and John Bush, and who else is in the band?
So Mike Orlando, guitar player from Adrenaline Mob, is kind of, I'll call him the mastermind. He's the guy doing most of the work. Jason Bittner on drums from Shadows Fall, Overkill, played Anthrax, and Jack Gibson from Exodus. And what was the band back in the day? Was it Circle of Vengeance back in the day?
COV, dude, with Steve and Bennett and Jack. Oh, that's yeah. Right.
So Jack from Circle of Vengeance. And we just, on a drunken night, me, Bittner, and Orlando were like, hey, let's start a band. And then we woke up and
let's all start another band.
Yeah. That's
everyone in this band is in at least 2 other bands.
Yeah.
Every single one of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was waiting for the Kerry thing to pop. I was in Vio-Lence doing the Vio-Lence stuff. I was also in Overkill at that point. And uh, yeah, and we just wrote this incredible record. Once we got John on board, then me and Mike went over some riffs together. Then he started. It's really prolific as a musician and songwriter, and he writes great tunes. And he just spewed out these parts, and then I contributed on some stuff. And then John sang over it, man. It was all gold. And every time we got a song back from John, it was just gold. So we're really excited about this record. We got another single that another video is coming out next week, I think. Mid next week, like June 2nd or 4th, or that would be maybe the 4th. And the record comes out July 26th, and we're looking for a window in the Kerry touring, and then the Armored Saint touring, and then the Overkill and the Shadows Fall touring, and then the Exodus touring, and
yeah.
So once we find a hole,
Christmas 25.
Yeah, it's looking like, if not later this year, maybe second quarter next year, which is kind of hard, but it's pretty incredible too. The Devil's Dozen on Sirius came out, and Marta plays in Bleeding Through, and they released a song. So she said she was listening, and number 11 was Category 7, and then number 10 was Bleeding Through, and then like number 4-3 was Kerry King. So the Demmel family had three of the Devil's Dozen. It was pretty fucking cool.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it also, just the odds were pretty good because you're in so many fucking bands.
Come on, you keep saying that. I mean, I have played in a lot of bands, but presently, the Vio-Lence thing just became, Perry left, or Perry's no longer in the band, and it just became, and I love Christian. It just became something not familiar anymore, and it hit me when we played the Whiskey, and it was Adrian the drummer's first show, and we were having this kid Miles Dimitri Baker, who plays in Ice Nine Kills right now, come down, and he was going to be my fill-in, and so he was going to play on a song or two. And I show up to the show, and I walk backstage, and man, I knew, there's 50 people backstage, and I knew maybe, the band and a couple other people. It's just like, man, this isn't my home anymore. This doesn't feel like home. And no slight against the dudes, because I loved playing with Adrian. I loved playing with Christian, and Ira really worked hard for the band, and was a big fighter for the band. I mean, he worked hard. He cared a lot. I was a very productive member of Vio-Lence, but it was just, with everything that was happening, then it was just time for me to go and concentrate on the other 10 bands that I was in. No, I just, knock that off and focus on the Kerry thing was firing up. Category 7 thing was firing up. And just not let that be a distraction from. I loved the Vio-Lence EP that I wrote, and me and Sean wrote, and we recorded with the dudes. And I'm super proud of those songs and the way that the recording came out. Juan did a tremendous job, and Bobby playing on that. So it's already been, Bobby and Miles and this kid Jesse's playing now. Ira. Adrian Nick Souza is playing, Pat O'Brien's been in, and this is all within the past couple of years. So it's just
morphed.
It just wasn't this. It wasn't the thing that I started in high school, and the songs meaning the same. It's kind of, it was cool traveling and doing the stuff that we did, and Sean wants to continue and travel and do the fun stuff. So, yeah. Wish
more
them
power to him. We're all just thrilled he's still alive, dude.
Absolutely. I'm, I'm still a partner with him in the business, but I just, playing the shows, new music, I don't know if they're going to do new music or that's all something that remains to see. So let's just see the Category 7. Hopefully we can get it out.
Now that's a full album in the can, Category 7, or is it released?
It's done. It's done. It's coming out in July 26th. So it's been done. Mike Orlando produced it, recorded all the dudes but me, mixed it, mastered it, did it all. Mike Orlando is the fucking hero. He's our champion. So
did everybody head out to his place, or did everybody kind of do their own home studio contribution and send them in?
Everybody went to his. Jack went to his place. John did. Jason did. I flew out at the end of the last day of drum tracks just to go hear everything and had a couple ideas. And Jason killed it. My God, he's a machine. And but I tracked it home and sent him my stuff. I didn't. I did all my tracks here. And Mike mixed it in from over there. So it's nice being able to have the studio here, and Marta does her recording for Bleeding Through here, and it's a pretty cool spot. #bless, bro. It's pretty. It's nice to have everything here, and so yeah, looking forward to having that come out. Having written the music and the songs with John, and pretty proud of all that. So I'm excited for that project to come out.
Are you still trying to eke out some Metal Allegiance, or is that just another super group that only happens when all the stars align for everybody who's in it?
I did the show in January with them, and that was fun. I'll play with them when I'm available to. I went to Rio with them a couple years ago, I think it was, and I haven't missed too many of those shows. There's talk of I don't want to talk about that anyway. But if I'm available to play with them, I will play with them. Me and Mingy have a project called BPMD. We did a record with Bobby Blitz and Mike Portnoy and Mike Mingy, and I'm the D.
And that really didn't get a lot of a fair shake because it was pandemic year.
You're right. You're right. And so we're looking at possibly doing another record. And so me and Mingy are involved with that. And so, Mark has asked me he always gives me a heads up, wants me to be a part of the Metal Allegiance stuff. And I have a lot of fun learning the songs and playing with all the dudes. That's been, playing music has always been the goal for me, and I haven't made a shit ton of money. I've made some money, but that's never been really the honest and why I do that, especially recently. I'll be out of pocket for some stuff, and like the NAMM shows, and just going down and being part of just creating with different people and getting to jam with people like Stu Ham and Larry Mitchell and all these crazy, just weird, different things. But having these people from these legendary players, speak to me about how well I played or how good I am or how much they enjoy jamming with me in these weird. I'll give you an example. I was on the Shiprocked cruise a couple of years ago. I was on as a castaway, which is like all-star band, and you get to jam covers. And it's my MO. And this guy Tyson Leslie, he's a keyboard player for Vixen, but he lives in Nashville, and he knows every song. He does the piano bar. And
he's on my cruise too.
Yeah, so he does the piano bar, and he knows every fucking song he can play. But he's not only phenomenal, just keyboard singer guy, but he'll rip on the guitar, or he plays fucking everything. He's an incredible musician. So he
does a whole Merkin style thing on our cruise.
Oh, right, awesome.
He's our you.
Oh, that's awesome. He's incredible. I'm not even in the same fucking ballpark as that kid, but he. So we met the year before when I was out with Lamb of God, and we got to talking and kept in touch. And then we're on the bus heading over the cruise together. And I said, "Hey man, if anything's, you got anything shaking, if you want to rock out, because sometimes at the lounge they do some things." And he's all, "This is what I'm doing. I'm doing this Corey Glover set with him in the atrium." And he's all, "If you want to join me for that, join us for that Corey Glover fucking Living Color." It's like, Yeah, have you heard of them? Yeah, I've fucking heard of them. But if you want to join on a couple of songs for that, and I'm all, yeah, I'll jam on it. He said, well, here's the set. And so the set it's Superstition, the Stevie Wonder song, but it's the Jeff Beck and Carmine a Peace version. It's Tumbling Dice, Rolling Stones, Reeling in the Years, Steely Dan, Wanted Dead or Alive, Bon Jovi, Wild World, Mr. Big, Creep, Radiohead, Purple Rain, Mississippi Queen, Hotel California. I'm like, and it's me, him, and
do I have a 19-hour plane ride?
And it's me and him and a drummer in the atrium. It's that little birdcage in the middle of the boat, And so it's like, oh my fucking God, what have I got myself into? And so I spin that cruise. I'm not drinking at this point and in my life. I go and I take breaks, and I'm in the middle of a 14-month break of drinking at this point. So I'm there to work, and I'm in my fucking cabin just woodshedding these songs because I'm gonna be stripped down. It's like clean guitar, no bass, me and Tyson, and the main hurdle is Hotel California because I got to play that solo. You have to play that solo note for note. You have to play it. There's so many feely bindies, and you have to get the feeling just right. So I want to nail the solo, and so I spend the time in there, and I got it down pretty fucking good. And so I put the work in. Tyson's all, be prepared. Corey will just go, be ready to go somewhere. He's going to take you somewhere. I don't know how it's going to happen, but he's going to take you somewhere. So we get through the set and we play it fucking great. And it's an amazing experience. And he's all over the place, just holding service, man. He's just up there, and then he goes in to try a little tenderness, which I've never played before. And I'm all right, Tyson, here we go. Where are we going? He's all, C sharp. He's just calling out the keys, and we're just kind of following. And he's calling me out on some solo stuff, and we're going back and forth. And Brandy and his girl Lisa Marie are right behind us on the stairs, and the Randa guys are around us, hopping in and singing. It felt like a fucking. I got goosebumps thinking about it right now. It was one of the most magical moments that I've ever experienced in music. And having all these, it's fucking Randy from Lamb of God, but the Aranda guys are these brothers that play in this radio band, and all feeling this, and we're all having this fucking religious musical experience, and I'm all, please, nobody capture this. I don't want to watch this after. I just want this to be my memory of it, And after Corey gave me this huge hug, he's like, you killed it, bro. That was so fucking good, and getting those type of accolades from those, not the metalhead kid, or getting those kind of accolades are fucking life affirming and reassuring to me that, I'm not taking my family on this wild goose chase as I'm, fulfilling this so important core need of mine to fulfill. And so to be confirmed in those feelings and have that, it's #blessed, bro.
I think that people who don't work in the music industry don't understand how you end up kind of going for long stretches of just working your ass off, eating shit, living with exhaustion, like levels of inhuman exhaustion, and then all of a sudden something like that happens.
Yeah.
And you forget all about it.
Yeah.
Just it's that makes it all worth it moment.
Yeah,
that
it does.
Will let you be exhausted and eat shit for another good 8 months.
I've been pretty fortunate. I guess it's like the theme of all of this, and I hate to keep saying it, that everything recently has been really, other than a couple of weeks in South America with Vio-Lence, where it was just like no sleep, 3 hours of sleep a night. But the shows were great. It's been pretty comfortable, and it's all been really cool things. There hasn't been like, my God, what am I doing? Or granted, I haven't done a lot of touring, long tours. They've all been, the Lamb of God stuff was a couple weeks. Testament was a couple weeks. Overkill was like 3 weeks with 1 day off. So that was comfortable. We were in a bus, and that was, so I've been fortunate to not, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't be away from my family if it was going to be that. So I've had all these offers to do these cruises and do these, clinics and I've done clinic tours in Europe for Jackson, and it's pretty incredible. Once I sit back and I'll be able to look at all the shit I've done since December of 2018, 6 years, it's pretty fucking incredible, man. I've just been writing this, and me, it's like I was going to be gone for 4th of July, and then now I'm not. So it's like, what do I do? Oh, I've got an extra 5 days at home. Let's do a Merkins gig. So let's fill that spot, fill up those minutes. And so I will kind of leave it at this. I think that, doing what I've done for how long that I've done, and granted, you're catching me I had COVID last week. I'm just about 90% back right now. I've had these talks. I've had these feelings of, I think I'm getting close to having all my boxes checked. It's like, how much more do I need to do? I don't think I have anything left that I have to prove. I think that, these are incredible, exciting things that are both just launching, Category 7 and the Kerry thing. So it's like, I don't think I'm too far off from having to, and especially with the business doing as well as it is, but I'm in the twilight of a pretty incredible career. And if it all were to go away tomorrow, I would be 100% content. I'm on house money right now.
That is rare.
Yep.
I'm so happy for you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. The only thing left is this one last little weird dangling tidbit on your wiki that says that you auditioned for Sepultura.
Yeah, I went looking for that. I have it, and I need to, maybe I don't know if I'll be able to post it up, but yeah, there's this point in I think it was 96.
You really did this.
Yeah, I did. It was I think Machine Head was in Fantasy Studios for some reason. It was I would say it's 97. And then maybe they were doing The More Things Change, but I went out there to Borovoy, who was he wrote for Violent Noise. Anyways, he was an industry guy. I think he was a Roadrunner. Borovoy Kursion. I got asked to take him to the airport, and he was telling me that, hey, Sepultura they're looking for a guy, and I had just quit Torque, and I was in a position where I probably wouldn't tour unless it was like a really big deal. Like my wife at the time wanted me to join Limp Bizkit when the guitar player went out. She's like, you should join that band. I was like, come on, man. It would be okay if I was in that band, but not, Sepultura or whatever. So he said, look, they have this song that they don't have lyrics for, vocals for. Just write lyrics and record some vocals over and turn it in and see what they say. So I went in with James Murphy. He had a studio where we did a Torque demo, actually. And I went in with my buddy Michael Anderson at Fantasy and did one. And for whatever reason, I don't know why that didn't work out, but I did some with James Murphy, who had also recorded. Chuck Billy tried out too for Sepultura, and Steve Escobar did too. So we all had the same song that we were writing. So it was cool to kind of hear all three of us, our takes on the song called Choke.
Was Anderson just calling everybody up and being like, hey, come down here?
Yeah, or whatever. So, and I think what I did was kind of cool, and I still think it's kind of cool. I need to post it up, but it was still that, my voice wasn't all that good. I was never really a lead singer, and I think they said that I was too old school or something like that. And I think they already had Derek was already living, or he was already down there. He was pretty much already in the band. So, Yeah, I did. I tried out for Sepultura to play guitar and sing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you're going to be like, what? Who put that on my wiki? That's crazy.
No, that's real.
Oh my God. Well, color me surprised. All right. Well, Jesus,
right.
it's 10 o'clock.
I know. Chatted for a minute.
Go hug the wife and kiss the baby, and
Do that.
I will see you on the 4th of July. Run into you before.
All right. Maybe the day before at the rehearsal. I'll give you the address if you can make it out.
I will have barbecue. Will travel. Yeah.
Very good. It's a great time.
All you got to do is just tell me there's food, and I'm like,
Yeah.
super there. I'm super there.